give up smoking, then let them try, you know, and if this helps them give up smoking, then that's the safest thing to do. My worry is that children may think that this is cool and it's a toy, because I have seen some 14-year-olds smoking away and they think this is really, really cool. But so I would hope, and I think that they're not allowed to use anyone under the age of 24 in the advertising campaigns. And the government, you'll know more about that than me, George, but the government have put these sort of rules and regulations, which is a good thing. But anything that helps, then I'm all for it.
You all for it, George?
Well, I do think I'm not as negative, actually, as Victoria and Nancy. I mean, I think it does help some people give up. And look, let's be clear, it's, you know, the really damaging thing in a cigarette is the tar, and of course an e-cigarette doesn't have that. Now, of course, what we've got to make sure is it's also not encouraging people who wouldn't otherwise get into smoking to get into smoking. But I think that, I mean, I think our country is a bit of, you know, a couple of years ago we were saying we've got to legalise drugs, and now we've got to ban e-cigarettes. And maybe
you weren't saying you were going to legalise drugs in your party. I assume the Lib Dems.
You know, I just think we need to sort of have a more sensible debate. And if this, you know, if this device is properly regulated, if the advertising is not aimed at children, as Michelle says it isn't, those things, I think before we just say you can't have these things, they are helping. I know people, friends of mine, who were smoking and are using these e-cigarettes. And before we just rush to say it's a total disaster, just pause to think, well, isn't it better that they're using this device rather than clogging up their lungs?
Sorry, can I just stress, though, I don't think they should be banned. I don't think cigarettes should be banned. I think the smoking ban is draconian and awful. I think people should be able to do what they want to do. I also think they're ghastly and they won't help you stop smoking.
Yeah,
but for what it's worth, these cigarettes, the e-cigarettes, are now being advertised in sort of cherry flavours and lemon candy flavours, and it's sort of the same route as the alcohol pops, and it is trying to appeal not just something to come off cigarettes to, but something to start because it's, you know, young and supposedly exciting.
Can you smoke in the Treasury? In the corridors of the Treasury?
I'm not seeing anyone do it. I'm reasonably libertarian. I wouldn't try and grab it off them and throw it out the window.
Right. But it's banned in New York City, isn't it? Well, it's quite interesting because some places have banned it and some we seem to be totally going in the opposite direction. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know whether you, I mean, who would have thought the idea of Marlboro Man and smoking real cigarettes was cool, and yet that's how it ended up being perceived by some. You wonder if you allow advertising, do you go down the same road?
Of course, you know, but eventually the arguments of the doctors were heard that it was causing cancer. Now, with e-cigarettes, it is more complicated. So even our chief medical officer, she says, well, hold on, there might be some good in this, in helping smokers get off things that are, you know, giving them lung cancer. So I just think before you rush to make a judgment on what is, after all, a relatively new product, let's just get some evidence of whether it's actually helping people off smoking or it's encouraging people into smoking.
At the end of the day, it's going to save, you know, the country, because we won't have to, you know, care for people more. There'll be less, hopefully, lung cancer, etc. And that will help people as well.
We don't have any heavy tax on it, though.
Well, I was just going to ask you about that. Is this an attractive new... You've spotted this.
Next you'll be sticking something on that.
It's treated like a kind of consumer product, like an electronic device. It doesn't get the special tobacco duty regime.
So the autumn statement will...
I'm sure you'll find a way to get a few quid.
Well, it comes on to a topic we want to talk about later, but there are European rules.
Which parts of the autumn statement you're going to share on air?
European rules don't allow you just to sort of pick on individual products, because that would interfere with the way things are traded around Europe. But so it's an unusual thing, because it is not taxed in the same way we tax tobacco, alcohol and the like.
But I also think we shouldn't be putting any tax on it as well, because if people want to try, why, you know, should you penalise them for trying? We should be rewarding them for trying.
Okay. Now, there are 3 words that